Alright, so I'm testing out Camtasia Studio, recording my screen, playing some poker. See if we could take it to the final table here. Queen 3 early position, definitely a fold. Now this is interesting because there's a limp in early position, just pretty weak, and then a raise on the button. Question is, why is he raising on the button? He has position, so his range is a little bit bigger, broader. Let's see. I think it's pretty strong here if we put in another raise. See what happens. Coming out of the big blind. Well, everybody called. It's not fun. Queen's definitely in their range. Queen 10. I would assume more in this guy's range than not. This guy may have some like low cards like 8-7, ace-8 suited, ace-8 suited in hearts. If he calls, he has a queen. Yeah, I'm fold. Can't really do anything. So if he has, like, he's gonna ship if he has, see, yeah, okay. If he has a queen, he ships it. What are these people doing? Doesn't make any sense. So his play is pretty bad, I'd say. Limp calling ace-10. I think limp calling's not horrible. You can trap and get people in trouble that have like someone like me coming in for a raise with Jack-9, only because he limped, because it seemed weak, but he was definitely stronger than I was. Seat 2 here is pretty tricky though. Limping with queens, or sorry, just smooth calling with queens with two callers is a cautious play. You're making sure that an ace or a king doesn't hit. But when you flop a set, it's pretty strong. I'm surprised he didn't ship it in on the turn. Actually, the turn was a 7, so he was basically couldn't be beaten at that point. The only thing that beat him was pocket 7s for quads, which is not going to happen hardly ever. So he was probably looking for him to catch his flush on the river, or potentially make a move at the pot, just like he did. Typically, the hands that I play are going to be connected in some way, or high cards suited. Really depends. Like, I would never play Queen 4 offsuit unless I was really short stacked, like had 2 big blinds left or something, and it's like, okay, well, Queen's the highest card I'm probably going to see before I get blinded out, so might as well just put it all in. But usually before you get down to 2 big blinds, you're already shipping and shoving with 8, 9, 10 big blinds. So we have a limp early position, typically pretty weak. Gonna put in a raise, gonna thin the field a little bit. Ace Queen's a great hand, but it's not a good hand when you're playing against 4 other people. Typically, raising in tournament poker ranges between 2x and 2.5x. 2x would be 2 big blinds, so it would be 80. Because there's a limper, I'm going to put in a bigger raise to make everybody like not have proper odds of calling. This is a really bad flop for us. It hits our opponent's range. They're typically limp calling with a lot of hands that have 9, 6s, and 8s in it, like 5, 8, 5, 7 for a straight. It could be a lot of those hands, so I'm not going to continuation bet. King's a good card for us to bet, actually. We have kings in our raising range a lot, so you gotta make it a little bit pricey for him to call. Down here, lots of crazy shit happening. And now we have nothing. And we really want him to fold. See if he calls off with an 8 or a 6. If he does, that's just what happens. Oh, great. Perfect. Down here, I didn't see what the action was. Oh, okay. So there was a raise to 3.5x, and then not even an all-in. He left himself with 64 chips. Because of this, we are going to fold. Let's see if our fold's correct. We would have hit top pair, putting them all in. Exactly what I thought. Him not putting himself all in, it's kind of stronger. It's like a psychological thing. You're not betting all your chips. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm surprised he didn't just put them all in either. With a hand like ace-jack, if he was going to go with it, just being silly. This guy last hand could have had a missed draw as well, or a pair in a draw. Smaller pair than kings, and just really believed that we had a king. Sometimes like pushing all in right there would raise some flags for them calling more, which is why I typically will balance my ranges from just doing a big bet or to putting it all in, even if my all in is a reasonable bet. Yeah, so this game up here, up top, is the $10 buy-in. It has a guaranteed prize pool of 300, which is 30 players, and I registered because there wasn't 30 players registered, which is free money. It's like 9 free entrants. But of course, it could change as time goes on. There could be more players. Same with this one down here. It's a $20 buy-in, I believe. Yep, 500 guaranteed. Basically like free money. King 9, I like these hands. I'd play them in later position. You can make straights with them, hit flushes, hit a 9 with a high kicker. But when you're early position, it's really just, it could be costly. Curious to see what's going to happen up top here. This guy has position. He might want to throw out a bet. They check through twice. It's going to be less believable that he has a 3 or a 2. If he had a jack, you'd probably bet the jack already. So it's likely that he's going to get called down with like ace high or even potentially king high. Any pair. Someone might even put in a raise because it's unlikely that he can really call it. When I'm in a big blind with a hand that I may play typically, I really hope there's a lot of limpers, because I don't really want to play out of position calling a raise with this. Sometimes I will, but it's not something I prefer. Another thing I always do is like to keep count of how many blinds I have. About 1,700 chips divided by 60 for the big blind. I have 28 big blinds, give or take. Down here, this guy's getting silly again. This is the guy last time with ace-king. He did the exact same sort of situation last time when it was folded around to him. At least I'm pretty sure that's the same guy. I don't think we switched tables at all. That's the problem when you're multi-tabling on, especially Bovada, where you don't have unique usernames or in pictures. So fold around this guy, he's typically going to get put in a raise with a lot of hands, a wide range of hands just to pick up the pot. That makes me want to call more, especially with something like Jack 9. Jack 9's not a strong hand. But I hate folding when I know that they're gonna raise. Completely whiffed. Not very often this guy has an ace or a king in his hand. I could try and bet at it, see what happens, but it just looks so fishy a lot of the time, so I'm going to check. I could float him on the flop out of position and then bet into him, but a lot of the times this could get you in trouble. A lot of the times when I lose a lot of my money is like trying to play the mental warfare against an opponent when I'm in the blind because I refuse to fold. And honestly, a fold pre-flop would have been completely acceptable too. Jack 9's not that strong of hand. So yeah, that's the new, probably the new entrant. We had 21, now we have 22. And we're still small on this. I really enjoy these small tournaments. So we have to call one bet. It's not a good hand, but it's so much money in the pot. I don't know, see what happens. Or you can just flop the devil. Just like that. Slow played a bit. I'm just going to check to see what people do. I'm not really afraid of too much at this point. A card anywhere between a 7, 8, or 9 would make a straight, potentially. So I definitely don't want to see one of those fall. I'd be happy to see something like a king fall or something like that. Let's see what this guy does. A 4 is a really good card for us. It doesn't complete any straights. The only thing that's beating us is a better 6, or 6, 10, 6, 4. I'm going to put in a half pot size bet. I'm going to put in a little bit more actually. I'm out of position. I don't really like that. Ooh. Kind of panicked there trying to make sure that I didn't accidentally fold it or check it. Because now there's a flush draw possible if somebody has diamonds. Typically I don't take this long to act. I act within the first 8 seconds, roughly. I try to take 5 seconds. It'd probably be beneficial to take a little bit more time for each and every decision. So that like, you don't have any timing tells. So, I mean, we never went to showdown, so we technically could have won that with anything at that point if we would have bet into them when it checked around. So, I'll keep that in mind that when next time where potentially I don't have anything. Having an ace on the button, I'm going to put in a small raise here. I'll be happy to take the blinds. If they don't believe me, they may come along or, try to outplay me. And it could get pricey if they actually pick up a hand and you think they're just trying to outplay you. It's never fun. So we hit our ace. It's a great card for us to continue on because we are expected to bet any ace. Because, we raised, so we could have an ace. I'm going to make it a little bit more expensive. Well, I'll do an odd size bet, see what he does. Because there's a lot of potential there for bigger cards if you like to have big draws. Or potential two pairs, things like that, like a 9-10 or something. Or have like a 9-7 and a 7 hit on the turn. But I'm definitely happy to take small pots. You can do very well in poker if you win a lot of small pots and just avoid losing any big ones. This is interesting. I'm curious to see if he's just raising with anything. Oh, let's see what he... Oh, that's so gross. That is so gross. just kind of one of those hands where when you raise on the button, you're not expected to have much a lot of the time. And then when they're playing back at you, you could be thinking, are they just leveling me because I just raised on the button? Which is why he ended up going over the top. I'm sure he's ahead of a lot of the things that he could potentially be doing that with. Ace is not one of them, but it definitely helps when you completely outflop your opponent. It's honestly better to be lucky than it is to be good. Just ask Jamie Gold. Well, to his credit, he actually did. I think he did pretty well that tournament. I'm going to be cutting out a lot of this video to save you from a lot of the bore. Poker's a lot of patience. Folding things like 2-9 offsuit or King 6 to a raise out of position. So this is a playable hand. Going to be in early position. There's a limper. I might try to trick somebody, and they might think that I'm limping because somebody else is limping. Get somebody to make a move to try and pick up the free money because we may not have a good hand, and I can move over the top of them, would be my plan. The thing about this is that if it doesn't work and nobody raises, you're playing your hand against a lot of people. Doesn't really matter, we missed anyway. It's very likely that somebody has a pair. Down here there's a raise. Again, situation with a weak ace. Yeah, I mean, I am 90% sure I had the best hand pre-flop. Unless somebody had a pair. I don't think I'm up against something like ace-king. If this guy did limp ace-king, then we got really lucky that nobody moved in on the flop because, or pre-flop. I'm guessing he has a king and he hit possibly 2 pair. Already had a big draw. It's definitely reasonable to hand to have. So I was thinking 2 pair straight or a really big draw. Let's see if this guy had a king. As he raised when he made his hand. Other guy had 2 pair. It's tough. I might have busted there if I had 2 pair. I might have moved in on that raise potentially. This guy's killing it. Down here, 25K. Curious to see this guy get to showdown, especially this hand, to see if he's picking up on the limps or he actually has a hand. So I'm going to be paying close attention to this guy's play. He's the pre-flop aggressor. He has position. That would have been a great flop for our hand. We would have had a pair and a flush draw, and likely the best hand. We could have played it really strong. That was a good call on his part. I think that bet on the river really polarized his range. He wouldn't be betting a single pair hand there, I wouldn't think. He either had a straight or a 5. This is a hand where I have just over 10 big blinds. There's a lot of limps here. I'd rather just pick up the money. Likely the ace is the best hand, otherwise there wouldn't be limps. I'm in the big blind. I'm just going to put it in. Try to collect the 800 that's out there. At this stage, typically, I think it's a plus EV move. I don't know the math on it or anything. It's kind of just experience. As I'm playing, I'm trying to get rid of the automatic Windows 10 update. I was in the big blind. I checked my option, flop trip 5s, so it's unlikely anybody has an ace. They probably would have raised pre-flop, but I'll see what we can make of it. It's a pretty good hand right here, 15 bigs. Don't like moving it in here. Do a min raise. I'm just going to call, hope that a heart doesn't hit. And I'm going to probably end up check raising all in if somebody bets. And if they have me beat, they would have to have F5 to have me beat, so... I'm going to bet here I have 2 overs and a gut shot. Hopefully I can take it down. I feel like there's enough money in the pot. I'm just going to put it all in. If they have me beat, they have me beat. This guy's raising me. Now I just wish I would have taken my free card. Oh, that's so sick. If somebody had an ace and folded an ace, they would have ended up beating me there. That's so annoying. I probably should have taken a free card. I'm debating. If he has a 10, let's say he has a 10 and both my cards are alive, where he's not sharing a king 10, a king jack. That's 6 cards to hit, plus 4 queens. 12, 16 outs. I don't have any fold equity. He's not going to fold on anything that I do. Let me think. Fuck. I'm short. Just going to put it in. I'm going to have to catch. Oh, he's a set of 5s. I would hit a jack anyway. And that was that. On the button, king 10, that's a raise. At this point, even a min raise is quite a lot of chips. And I could bet here because it is check to me. It's unlikely that if player 18 has a pair, he's going to fold. He's probably just going to move in over the top, see if it gets me to fold. It's unlikely that I raised with anything that has a 6, 3, or 4 in my range. I'm just not going to do it. That's the best card we could have seen. So now I am going to bet this. Maybe make a small bet, see if they move in on top of me. Make a small bet because they checked around twice, so it's likely that I'm bluffing. If he had a 3, he wouldn't check. I wouldn't think he would check. And now I'm going to bet on the bigger side to make it look like a bluff. He could even had hearts, honestly. And now we're at the final table, it looks like. Yep, registration closed, final table. Hopefully we can take this down. 5th place makes money. I'm in $30 total with both tournaments, so... I don't like that he's calling on the button. He has position on me. I would had rather liked to have position on the table. You always want to act last. You have more information. So I'm 3rd in chips. Pretty good chip stack here. Blinds are 250 at about 9K. What did I do? 9, 1, 2, 3 divided by 250. 36 bigs. It's not bad. Some wiggle room. Some room to play. And I like to see this guy lose chips. I'm going to act after him, the big stack, just about every time except when he's dealer. So since this guy has so many chips to play with, it's really nice to let him act first, so he doesn't, just bet every time I check to him. We've lost 2 players. We're about to lose a 3rd, as he's not even there and just got blinded out. Top 5 make money, so I would be happy, to make money. It's always better to cash in a tournament than not. So I'm not going to get out of hand, and hopefully we see the next to low chip stack, player 16, bust out after the fact. And he's for sure gone. Hopefully. Even if he's still in, he's going to still get blinded out. I'm sure I could outlast him. This is really interesting. Typically when someone's all in, you're only betting... but the side pot's so small, so it's easier to bet to bluff, too. Ace 4. Oh, that's too funny. Still in it. Quite a bit. He's likely to bust before then. I'm gonna go ahead and put in a raise. It's very possible that someone's gonna make a move on me because they know that these people are so short, and they're not gonna want me to, like this guy. It's like free money to him. So typically I'd build a big pot here, but this guy's definitely willing to bust me. So I'm gonna check. He's probably gonna bet, thinking I'm just gonna fold. Because he checked, I'm gonna now put in a little bet here. Something small. If we check, I'm sure we get it. And I really don't want him to make a move on me. Because there's a lot of 2-pair possibilities there. 8-7. I'm just going to check. Okay. So he called on an open-ended and then caught a pair. I didn't think I was going to get any more money out of him. If anything, he was going to bluff me. So that's why I decided to check back with a fairly strong hand, top pair, top kicker. This guy's gonna move in. Hopefully this guy just calls. Well, and I'm forced to call, and hopefully he doesn't hit that. Oh, he flopped a lot of outs. Well, that's one way to double up. It's really annoying. Could have used those chips and also been almost guaranteed money. I have really bad luck when I get to final tables. There's a lot of times where I am the bubble boy. I don't know if I just play bad when we get down to it. I'm gonna call to see if this guy just checks all the way through. I doubt this guy has an ace. Hopefully he checks back thinking that I wouldn't be calling out of position with at least a pair, and it's very unlikely that he has a pair. And if he checks back, I'm going to bet into him on the river. Alright, so right now I just have a heart draw, which is 18% chance to hit, which is 5 to 1. Call that not worth. So hopefully player 17 actually has a hand. Great, 16 folded. 16 is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Probably should have just gone with it at that point. It's very unlikely that somebody's going to get involved in a big hand. I'm going to limp because it's very likely that 16 is going to shove here. And I'm willing to see what happens. I have a pretty strong hand, a really strong hand. Especially this short, but also that can get me in trouble if somebody decides to make a raise, because I kind of have to go with it if I'm trying to win it. But we'll see. If he's smart, he'd move in on me because, or do that. Because there's just no way that I can really go for it. Like, ever. Because it's so stupid, too. I was just hoping that he wasn't smart, but he's a better player than I gave him credit for. So here, I'm going to call. Usually everybody's going to check it down just to get to the money, unless somebody actually has a hand. It's a pretty good flop for me at this point for what I had, and hopefully nobody bluffs at it. Bad players will probably bluff at it. Watch this guy end up having a 4-2. It's typically how it works, that the last guy does not go out, and then I'll bust. Alright. I have no idea why that guy's betting at the pot. Makes no sense. If he gets a better hand to fold, why? This guy can end up, you know, you have to beat this guy. That's what we wanted, but he's out now, so I've made money. Let's see how many blinds I have. About 20 actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and call. I'm not at shoving range yet. It's really hard to win any money when you miss flops. Can't really continue. At this point, I'm going to start shoving over people, try to pick up chips, and hopefully double up. I can still put a dent in these two player stacks. I feel like 19 wants to play. That's the only one I wanted to fold. It's mostly a steal, just trying to stay alive. I'm gonna do it again. When you start doing it, people start, like, 2 hands in a row, people might play back at you weaker. And that's really good. I have an open-ended. If he has a jack, and we both hit a queen, I would have the nut straight, which would be really nice. It's likely I have the best hand. King, queen. We're getting shorter and shorter. We have like 12 blinds. I'm getting in that re-raising range. And at this point, every person who goes out is a pay jump of 20 until the top 2. Not going to play like something like 5-8 unless I'm pushing all in over the top, just hopefully that they fold. And if I get called, I'm going to have 2 live cards most of the time. No one's going to be calling me on a... I'm not going to be dominated. And if I am, it's going to be by like an ace-5 or an ace-8 suited or something. Yeah, well, this is going to be it. I have 11 blinds. I'm going to move them in. Got snap called. That's never good. Oh, want to flip. That's nice. Much needed in chips. Flip is any 2 overcards versus an underpair. It's going to be roughly 50-50, so they call it a coin flip or a flip because you're just basically flipping a coin for those stacks. Deep stages tournament, there's going to be lots of those, so you're going to want to build your stacks in the earlier stages so that when you get to the later stages, you can survive a couple flips if you lose one. If you win 2 or 3 flips in a row, then typically by late stages you have a pretty hefty stack. So now my 10,000 chips definitely has a lot of fold equity. I can shove over people, and they're gonna fold often a lot more because I can definitely do some damage to their stack. I can almost, yeah, like he'd be halved. He'd lose almost half, and he'd be crippled. And I can knock player 2 out. He's the only one I can knock out. And since I can actually do damage to some people now, I'm definitely gonna put in a raise here. I was gonna make it 800, but that's just so typical to make it a min raise that it just looks weak. Like I want them to fold, so I put it in a little bit bigger to like make sure that they are more likely to fold. Especially with a hand like 6-9, because I can't call a single raise. Early stages tournament, I'd probably dabble with Jack 7, but when blinds get so big, you can't really make mistakes or afford to see a lot of flops. So you definitely have to pick and choose which hands you play and in which position you're going to be playing them. Oh, we have an all in. It's not what I like to see, as now with that guy's double up, I am the shortest stack, which means people are going to pick on me. And now the guy who was the overwhelming chip leader at one point is now second in chips, so he's definitely probably feeling some pressure. Some people play a little bit more aggressively when that happens to try and get some of their chips back. But a good player would keep their level head and continue to play solid poker until the stack just grows naturally, and not try to force anything to happen. I'm probably going to end up folding my way to, I don't know here. Because I am, hopefully a lot of these middle stacks start getting in some big pots. That would definitely help me out. So we have a pretty strong hand in the big blind. If he raises, yeah, I'm just going to move it in on him. Well, actually, I'm going to come over the top of him. I still have quite a few chips. I'm trying to think, 20. He may play back at me, just move it all in, and I'm just not going to fold. Flipping again. And I got lucky to hit an ace. It's 2 coin flips in a row. Big stack definitely moved down. He's probably not very happy about it. He's going to talk crap. Oh man, that was nice. That definitely, winning those chips there could definitely mean at least $100 more, of real money. Because it's likely that he's going to bust out, and now I'm almost the chip leader. And this is the spot where I'm just going to min raise because it looks like I want them to fold. But I have such a strong hand that I'm willing to see a flop. A half pot seems probably good. Half pot size bet, see what they do. If he doesn't have a pair, he's going to fold. Ace is a bad card because obviously it beats me. So I'm going to slow down here. It's unlikely he has one at this point, though. And then a king. These are just both horrible, horrible cards. So now I could only beat a bluff. I'm hoping that he has a 10, but I'm just going to call him and pay him off. Or he called me with an open-ended and got there. I was thinking that no, he wouldn't have had top pair. I should have thought about that a little bit more. If he had top pair, he probably would have bet the flop to get me to fold or even raise the flop. I definitely didn't put him on 5-3 though. I didn't even really see the straight, and that's bad on my part. Yeah, an ace definitely was plausible. It was like an ace or nothing, and I just refused to believe it, but that's just kind of shitty. So folded around to player 17, and he's moving it all in. His range, his possible holdings, which is a range, is pretty broad because he's just looking to pick up chips. And now we're taking a break. So this is the second hand from break. Got ace king on the button, which is really good. Gonna go ahead and put in a raise. With the flop, not gonna. I'm gonna continuation bet. Well, no, because I really don't know what he has. He called me last time on 5-3 that this hits everything he can call with. I'm gonna have to start raising more against him. It's the only solution at this point, because if he's not gonna fold 5-3 off, he's not gonna fold just about anything to me. I would like to take this down pre-flop, which apparently is not going to happen. But flopping trips 8s is definitely not bad. Hopefully they see this as a continuation bet. Hopefully somebody has a jack. After this hand, I'm going to go ahead and pause it again. And only resume when somebody's all in or if I'm going to be playing a hand. Well, on the very next hand, you get pocket kings, and you get no action. And this is a hand I am willing to play. I'm going to be flipping against this guy, hopefully. And hopefully I win another flip. It's better than a flip. He only has one overcard. I'm looking really good. And he hits his ace, but I make a diamond flush with a 4 flush. That's pretty gross. He goes from chip leader, massive chip leader, coming to the final table to running out in 5th place. Towards the end of all tournaments, when the money goes in, it does get down to who gets the better cards or who gets luckier a lot of the times. So now I have to make a mental note that he's not playing back, really. He's probably waiting for this guy to go out. And we'll see, this guy is kind of aggressive. I have a pair. I'm going to go ahead and continuation bet this. This guy's definitely outplaying me. I don't know where I'm at in almost any of his hands that I'm in with this guy. Doesn't matter how much I raise pre-flop, he's either getting there or he's like, I don't know what he's calling with on the flop. The hands that I beat are hands like 7-6. I mean, even if he had 9-10, I'm losing against that. If he decided to turn that into a bluff, I don't know. What else would he call me on? Jack. Would he bet an 8 right here? Would he bet a 10 right here? He has like I would think that he would have like a really strong hand, or just, I don't think he's betting a marginal hand. I'm gonna call him this time, just like last time. See, talking through the hand sometimes could definitely help you figure it out. So he called me. It looked like a gut shot and possible pairs, thinking that I didn't hit one. My instincts was to fold just because it's like, why are you betting now? As in like, you must have me beat if you're betting now. But you could really think and walk yourself through it. It's like, why are they betting? You bet for 2 reasons. Either get somebody to fold. You either bet to get somebody to fold a better hand, or you bet to get value and have somebody call with a worse hand. And just as it played out, if he had something marginal or even had a jack, I think he'd bet smaller. But it just looked so So bluffy. Once you really like think it through, it looked like a misdraw, which it was. If it folds to me, I'm going to raise it only because he was out of the hand. You know what? I might give this guy some action just to see what's going on, because I'm playing out of position against him. Well, when stuff like that happens, it's hard to try and outwit anybody, because it ends all thinking at that point. It's call or you don't. And that is called a squeeze play. I'm just going to throw him off and call this time. I'm just curious to see, because I have not done it yet. So and in this situation, it's such a huge bet. It's like I'm probably ahead. But it's such a huge bet. He's putting in 32 big blinds, which is huge, and it's for more than half my stack. And ace calling off ace 10 isn't that great. Because what hands would he be doing this with? He's done it twice now in a row. Could he have ace jack, ace queen, ace king? I do have an ace blocker, or a pocket pair. You know what? I'm just gonna call him this time, because like, what could he have? This short, I'm gonna call him. It's a risky play, but if I win this, I'll be massive chip leader and almost guarantee myself at least second. Buck. I did not ever put him on something that big. I mean, I could have definitely found a fold there, but I just, with me limping, made me call. If I had raised and he shoved, I would have folded. But because I limped, it's like he doesn't put me on an ace. Like, he can't. His play definitely looked like either a weaker ace or a small pocket pair. Even up to tens, but I had a 10. Everything else I would assume just be like a normal raise. Because then you get no value for it, but he got maximum value for it because I limped, which is kind of annoying. And I'm just waiting for this. Like, I would want this guy to go out, and then I'll start gambling more. I'll start putting myself in more marginal situations. I could have definitely waited him out and stayed chip leader. And maybe this is why I usually do bad when it's on the bubble, because there's some people play to win or play to make money or play to cash. I usually try to go for first because that's where all the money's at. I'm gonna put in a bigger raise here because I'd rather just take it. I'm gonna continuation if he calls me or does anything else. Oh, thank God. Because if he called, I definitely give up and give him 2 streets to bluff me off of it. Yeah, I'm going to raise here. It's going to look super strong doing that. I have a lot of equity. I was hoping he folded because I didn't have a hand yet. And and I didn't want to give him a chance to, like, if I put out a bet, he just moved over the top of me, I would have to call. And this guy, so, well, let's see what happens. That's nice to have someone shove on you when you have pocket aces. So this guy's a marginal player, I would say, because usually you try to get value out of that. Oh, wow, it's going to knock him out. Wow, we just want to flip, so... Which I like. I move up to at least third place for $80. And I'm second in chips at this point, even though that player 20 has a commanding lead. If I were him, I'd definitely start raising like almost every pot. Like giant raises like that. Like, that's a hand I'd love to see a flop with. Checking back fast, looks bluffy right now. So checking back fast usually means you're on a draw, so I was hoping that he thought I was on a heart draw and just try to push me off of it, because that a heart draw would mean that I had nothing at the time. At this point, I'm gonna bet. Yeah, I thought he would fold. Could have checked to see if he would have done anything. It's definitely a raising hand. And I don't really want to get it in here because it's most likely going to be a flip. Yeah, I'm okay with the fold. I'm okay with the call. But taking it down right there is definitely nice. Yeah, I'm going to let him... Actually, I'm going to come over the top of him. I likely have the best hand. Nice. How can we get most value from it? I'm going to put in a raise, a small raise. It might look like I'm just trying to get him a fold. And now I might put in another raise here. Cause I don't want him to catch anything if he I don't want him to catch another pair. Plus, it might look like I'm just trying to just win it right here. And if he has a 10, he's gonna ship it. Here we go. So I'm in a huge lead. He could only have won with another 10 at that point because a king would have given him 2 pair, but given me trips. And now I can start bullying the table. Typically, when you're big stack, you can bully more. You can bully more effectively when you have a lot of chips and there's a lot of players left. But at this stage, I can try to bully player 20. He's already shown that he's not afraid to do some crazy ass shit. Like, we've seen him already shove queens in the small blind, shove 10s under the gun. And if I try to bully player 2, he's likely just going to put it all in because he's already in third place, and so he can't get any worse. So because of that, I'm going to only bully or put a lot of money in when I have a big draw, rather than do it in like super marginal situations where you can get away with more when there's more players and you have more to lose. Because at this point, these guys, only player 20 has the most to lose because he's currently in second place. It's so wild. Player 20 is a fucking madman. Like, that made no sense. And the worst thing is if a madman gets lucky on you, because he could do something absolutely insane and just ridiculous, and then you'll make a tough but correct call, and then he'll hit a card that he has no idea where he's at, and he'll just hit a card, and you get knocked out or something like that, which has happened to me before. It's happened to every poker player before, but it's not fun. And if they're a troll, they start texting in the, typing in the chat box, just rubbing it in. Really puts you on tilt. Tilt is when is in reference to, I believe it's in reference to pinball, where you can tilt the machine, where if you are too aggressive with it or hit it too much, it'll stop working and you'll lose your ball. I'm pretty sure it's in reference to that, as an emotional state of playing poorly to try and just get your money back or to punish somebody else just because they did you dirty. It's possible to have the best hand. It's hard to make pairs. You hit the board 1 out of 3 times. So if he bluffs at it, I have the highest bluff catcher. He did not. Bluff catcher is meaning that you could only catch a bluff. And this is a hand I would flip for. I would go over the top all in if there was a raise. Well, I mean, actually, I don't know if I'd actually do that. Let me see. Yeah, I might have. Because now he's pretty even stacked. So now I can start bullying each of these people because they're relatively even. They're playing for a difference of $40. That's the difference between third and second. So I'm going to start raising my buttons a lot more. If I get called, I'm in position. And a lot of the times they're not going to want to play with me because they want the other person to bust now. And this is a situation where I can be more aggressive and put more money and more pressure in on the other person. And in this situation, a lot of people will check, but I'm going to put out a small bet. He was most likely going to fold no matter what. But because some people will think that there's no way I have a jack because I would not be betting at it, and they might float, which means they might just call to see what happens, to see if I like check or like bet at it, basically call with nothing to try and bluff at it. Something like this, a marginal hand, going to do it. You could get through. And this is the advantage of having a big stack, if you know how to use it. Again, super marginal. And I just hit the flop super hard. And I'm going to bet at it again, because I likely missed that. Gotta bet at it again. That's a friggin' horrible card for me, because now any spade beats me. If I were him, I would have moved in. Because if I had something, I'd probably be putting more pressure on him. And I would have folded, because I would have assumed that he had some sort of spade. I most likely would have folded, because I definitely don't want to double him up. Give him more chips. Give him 10 more blinds to go crazy with. And also you could see that he was calling me all the way down on bottom pair, ace-3. Because he really didn't believe that I had something. And into this situation, I can just put in a raise here, because he might not want to mess around with this guy being so low. And now I'm not going to raise with a marginal hand like this. I will call, only because he has so little chips with about 10 bigs that he's probably willing to put it in with very marginal hands that are beating mine. Uh, Likely any king, suited queen, or big queen, um, almost any ace, any pocket pair. Um, he probably had, I mean, he had any two cards, so. And I ruled out king and queen already, so I just bet at it to hopefully that he would fold. Yeah, he's gonna have to fold. Anytime he folds, he's probably gonna fold because he doesn't want to lose to player 20. Player 2 does not want to lose to player 20. He's already has more chips. It's likely he's to bust first. I've been picking on this guy so much that I feel like he might be limping bigger hands, and since my hand's marginal, I'm just gonna check it. And this is a float. Me calling him with nothing to see what he does on the turn. If he checks, I'm gonna bet. And I can only assume I'm beat. You can have it. You're not gonna add that much to your chip stack, and I'm just going to pick on him later anyway and try to get my money, like, because he has all the more reason to not want to lose. I'm gonna spice things up here. I'm gonna call. Maybe he'll make a move, and in a situation like this, I can just. I'm gonna bet pot. Actually, I'm gonna move it all in. I'm gonna make him play for the rest of his chips, and he has double the chip stack as player 20 that he might not even do it. And if he does call, I have outs. I can hit any spade, which I would have, which he would have likely have lost if he didn't have a bigger spade. Again, this is another situation where if I raise, he's probably coming over the top, just because he has not very many chips left, and that means I would have to catch a card, and it's not a good spot to be in. Now in this situation, I don't know what the math would be on this, but I do have a high card. I have chips to gamble. I have the best hand right now, and I win with king high. So now things are going to get a little crazy. It's likely player 2 is going to be just shoving a lot. Heads up play definitely changes. Your hands get drastically wider, your hand range, where people will, like any high cards, probably ahead because you only have 2 cards, and if you have a king, you're probably ahead. A lot of aces will just get it in. Just like an ace anything, like such as this. He didn't even think about calling, so I'm going to test it out again next time and start playing a little bit more aggressively. I'm going to fold really quick here to let him think that I just had absolutely nothing. I had a decent hand. I definitely could have seen a flop. But when I do pick up something in the future, I'll try to do the exact same thing and call. At this point, I'm going to raise every time I have my button, because then I'll be in position if he does call. And anytime he moves in, then I don't get it. Like here, I'd be willing to call an all in here. Flop's really connected. I don't even want to deal with it. And then this is a weird spot that he actually overbet the pot. He bet more than the pot is actually worth. A lot of times like people would think that means you have nothing because you don't want to call. But some people will use it as like, if he doesn't want me to call, he must not have anything, but then have something extremely strong. Also, heads up is probably my worst facet of the game. Um, I'll move it on him. I did that because likely had the best hand, and if he did call, he would have to catch a card. And this is the spot. Ooh. This is the spot that I'm going to. Ooh. This is what you usually, if you call a raise and you're out of position, you check to the aggressor. And when people bet into you after you raise, it's really like throws people off. Like it just threw me off. I was gonna overbet the pot if he checked. I don't have anything, so I could have floated him. I could have called to see what like see if he checked the turn, then I can bet it. Let's see, how many big blinds does he have? It's always good to know how many chips you're playing with or how many blinds people have. He has 19 blinds. I would call an all-in here. It's still likely that I have the best hand if he didn't have anything pre-flop. I'm surprised that he actually called, which is going to slow me down here. I'm going to call a bet. I mean, this is definitely in his range. He might have an ace betting to not allow me to bet. That's weird. If he lit, oh god, see that would have been a perfect situation if he had called. I can do the exact same raise that I did before, and then hopefully he would just push all in like he did last time. Super interesting flop, twice in a row. I'm just gonna check it back this time. It's likely I still had the best hand there, and I didn't want him to catch a free card. This is a good drawing hand, so I'm just gonna check to see what happens. Hit bottom pair. Typically it's the best hand. Because it is hard to make a pair. It's weird that he's just minimum betting every single time. Yeah. Standard. I definitely could have raised that because I had the button in position, but I just feel like after him winning a pot, he might be a little bit more confident to play back at me, and if he did, I would have to fold. This is a really shitty hand, but this is the first time that he's actually raised. Yeah, fold. He hasn't raised that often on the button, if I recall. I'm gonna take his line. I was gonna min bet every street. I had a gut shot straight draw. I could have hit a 5 for a straight. Other than that, I had nothing. This is a situation where I'm just gonna put it in. Oh, sweet. I had him dominated. So as long as he doesn't hit a jack. And I won. Cool. Say you win a tournament.